time, I recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Olson, for 5 minutes.
I thank the chair and welcome to our witnesses, and a special Texas howdy to Commissioner Anderson. And following the example of Chairman Emeritus Dingell, my first question would be yes or no questions on basic issues. So first of all, yes or no. I'll start with you, Commissioner Anderson. Do you believe that this rule, as currently written, is workable for Texas? Yes or no?
No.
No. Commissioner Easterly for Indiana.
We haven't
yes
found
no?
a way to meet it yet.
Director Darwin for Arizona. Yes or no?
No.
Commissioner Speaks-Bachman, Maryland.
Yes.
Yes. Chairman Danner, Washington.
Yes.
And Commissioner Kavula.
No.
Montana, no. Okay, next round of questions. Two of you said yes, Maryland and Washington, but Commissioner Speaks-Bachman and Chairman Danner, do you recognize why these 4 states, Texas, Arizona, Indiana, and Montana, might not agree with you, a little bit different? Understand why they're opposed?
Yeah, I understand, but they're raising technical issues that I think are similar to some of the issues that we have, but these are issues that we're going to put in our comments, and we don't see them as any reason to delay consideration of this proposed rule, which is at this point just a proposed rule.
I would agree with that. I think I've agreed with some of my colleagues up here at the table on some of the specific technical issues that they've asked, especially the Honorable Kavula. That was fun. But I also think that there's a big difference between the 4 building blocks that they've laid out in terms of how to meet this specific goal and the structure of the plan and the mechanism of compliance. And I think that mechanism of compliance and how they've set this out is structurally sound. Okay, so it sounds like you don't understand their rationale why this program is unworkable. These new rules may be unworkable again for Texas, Arizona, Indiana, and Montana. For Maryland and Washington State, I'll go forward.
Well, I'm not going to speak to whether it's workable for them or not.
Okay,
I know they're making the case that it's not, but I have to look into it more.
Okay, that's what I was trying to understand. Another question, starting again with you, Commissioner Anderson. Do you agree that this rule will add to the reliability challenges facing the grid in Texas?
It has potential, particularly if we utilize the expansion of renewables, just because of the tremendous variability that occurs. And in fact, it will require more gas to back that renewable up, which will in turn increase the amount of carbon emissions.
Commissioner Easterly, Indiana's perspective.
Yes, we're going to lose an amount of generation that we don't have a way to replace.
Director Darwin, Arizona.
It's not my area of expertise, but from what I've been told, if the rule is finalized as proposed, it would create reliability concerns.
And Commissioner Speaks-Bachman.
I believe
Maryland.
that we are already facing reliability and resilience issues related to climate change and related to other external threats and forces that we need to pay very close attention to, and utility regulators, economic regulators are well suited to work on those issues.
And Chairman Danner, Washington State.
I think I already answered the question.
I thought so. Commissioner Kavula, Montana.
Simply put, no reliability analysis has been conducted for the Western interconnection by the appropriate bodies, so I'm unable to reach any conclusions.
Yeah, in your testimony you said you cannot accomplish any studies of that because it hasn't been addressed. Isn't that a real big problem? For some going forward in 2015, a major problem, huh?
My speculation would be that it would, but I'm not a transmission engineer and no study has been performed, sir.
I'm not one either, so thank you for your answer. One final yes-no question again with you, Commissioner Anderson. In the Mercury rule, EPA included a reliability valve to pause the rule's implementation if the grid is threatened. Should they consider that system, the valve for this rule, this new rule? Yes or no?
Yes, they should.
Mr. Easterly, Chairman.
Yes.
Director Darwin.
Yes.
Commissioner Speaks-Bachman.
I think it's worthy of consideration.
There we go, another yes. Chairman Danner.
I actually think they already have some processes where they can review decisions they've made and make alterations, but I think it's something that should be looked at.
Thank you. My final question again is this one's for Mr. Anderson, my home commissioner. As you know, Texas has made huge changes to our grid. Coal plants have been closed and existing ones are among the most efficient in the country. We built the most wind in America and the power lines to move it. We've increased our use of natural gas. And last Friday, regarding CO2 emissions, I helped break ground on the project in my home district called the Petronova project. It's a project from NRG where they're actually going to tap into a power plant there, capture on CO2, 90% captured, put down a pipeline, goes 80 miles downstream, and being used to produce more oil. And that's what's happening there in Texas. So my question is, and this is about hot carbon, CO2 emissions, you mentioned ERCOT. That is a brutally efficient market. You said the words ruthless. And our generators have risen to the challenge. Is EPA essentially saying to Texas, good work, now go reinvent your fleet again?
I would just point out that, and this is in a study that was released by the Energy Information Agency this month, that between 2000 and 2011, Texas had the largest reduction in CO2 emissions in the country by metric ton, over 9%, and actually accounted for, during that same time period, over 13% of the nation's reduction in CO2, all while the economy grew by over a third in Texas. So I go back to, it's not like we're not doing anything. It's not like Texas has buried its head in the sand. We've made enormous investments in order to get more efficient, and the EPA now is asking us to double down.
It's not just CO2, it's
Gentleman's time has expired.
ozone, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, ozone, couple points, ozone, sulfur dioxide, and nitrous dioxide as well. We've reduced those emissions dramatically, half the national average, double the national average. I yield back. Thank you.
This time